I was sitting on the balcony, coffee in hand, watching the city wake up, when Lena's voice called from the kitchen. Hey, don't forget your meeting today. You need to leave in 15. I smiled, setting my cup down. Thanks, love. Are you making breakfast too? She laughed, light and bright. Of course. Someone has to keep you from starving before your big presentation. I leaned against the railing, thinking about how lucky I was. You're too good to me. She poked her head out. Flattery will get you extra pancakes. I grinned. Then I guess I'm safe. The doorbell rang, and I frowned. Who could that be this early? Lena shrugged. Probably Ethan. He always shows up at the worst times. Sure enough, my brother stepped inside, grinning. Morning, future brother-in-law. He held up a bag of pastries. I figured I'd bring something for breakfast. I groaned. You know I hate surprises before meetings. Ethan laughed. That's the point. Life's too short to be boring. Lena rolled her eyes. Honestly, he's impossible. I chuckled, shaking my head. Yeah, but he's my impossible. Don't let him ruin your perfect morning, Lena said, placing a plate of pancakes in front of me. I picked up my fork. Thanks, babe. You always know how to make things better. Of course I do, she said, smirking. It's a gift. Ethan leaned back in his chair. You two are sickening together. How do you stand it? I laughed. We just do. You should try it sometime, Ethan. Me? Huh. You'd never survive if I had someone like Lena, he said, feigning offense. She's perfect, I said softly, and Lena smiled at me, squeezing my hand. I looked at them both and thought about how normal everything felt. The little arguments, the jokes, even Ethan's bad timing, it all felt right. You know, Ethan said, leaning forward, sometimes I wonder if I'll ever find someone like that. You will, Lena said, when you stop trying so hard to be charming. He laughed. Yeah, sure. You two are the perfect couple, though. Makes me wonder if I should just give up on women entirely. I smiled, but a flicker of unease passed through me. It was nothing, just a thought. You okay, man? Ethan asked, noticing me staring into my coffee. Yeah, just thinking about how lucky I am, I said. Good. You deserve it, Lena said, leaning against me. Thanks, I murmured. Breakfast ended with laughter, playful teasing, and small plans for the weekend. Ethan left, promising to see us later, and Lena helped me gather my things for work. I'll see you tonight, right? I asked, zipping my briefcase. Of course, she said, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Don't let work steal you completely. I won't, I said, smiling. I'll be home for you. As I stepped out, I felt the warmth of their presence lingering, the feeling that everything was perfect. I didn't know it yet, but that perfection was fragile, like glass in the sunlight. I wasn't sure if it was just my imagination or something darker when I noticed Lena smiling at Ethan a little too much that morning. You've been quiet, Lena said as I poured my coffee. Everything okay? Yeah, just thinking, I said, trying to shake the unease. Ethan appeared from the hallway with that stupid grin. Thinking hard, huh? Hope it's not about work stress again. I forced a laugh. No, nothing like that. He leaned on the counter. You guys are acting weird today. Did I miss something? I'm fine, I said, trying to sound casual. You sure you didn't burn the coffee again? Huh. Maybe I did, Ethan said, shrugging. But I brought donuts, so I think we're even. Lena smiled at him. Thanks, Ethan. You always know how to make mornings better. I felt a twinge in my chest. Something was off, but I couldn't place it. Later, I went into my study, scrolling through emails, trying to calm my mind. My phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Check your gallery. Now. I hesitated, then opened it. The first photo made my stomach drop. Lena and Ethan, holding hands in a café, leaning into each other like they belonged together. I stared at the second. A kiss, quick and desperate. I dropped my phone. No, this can't be real. Lena's voice behind me. Who are you talking to? I spun around. Lena, what is this? My voice cracked. She froze. I can explain. Explain? I laughed bitterly. Explain you're cheating on me with my brother? Ethan stepped in from the kitchen. It's not like that. Not like that? I shouted. I have pictures. Actual pictures. Don't even try to lie. Lena's eyes welled up. I didn't mean for you to find out this way. I'm sorry. Sorry? That's it? I felt my hands shake. You were supposed to love me. You were supposed to care about me. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. We didn't plan for this to happen. It just did. I couldn't breathe. Just did? That's your excuse? You're my brother. You're supposed to protect me, not. I didn't mean to hurt you. Ethan shouted. I didn't know what I was feeling. You didn't know what you were feeling? I repeated, my voice hollow. You destroyed everything. Everything I had. Lena stepped closer, reaching for my hand. Please, don't make this harder than it already is. I care about you, just not in the way you think. I jerked my hand away. Care about me? You care about yourselves, maybe. But not me. Not ever. Ethan's face turned pale. No, Ethan. No excuses. I trusted you both. Every moment. And this is what I get? My voice was sharp, trembling with anger and pain. Lena bit her lip, tears sliding down her cheeks. I didn't plan this. Of course not, I said bitterly, my stomach twisting. Everything just happened. And somehow I'm supposed to be okay with it? I turned and walked to the door. I need space. Don't follow me. Don't talk. Don't. I stopped, swallowing the lump in my throat. Just leave me alone. I could hear their voices calling after me, but I didn't stop. I needed air, space, anything to process the betrayal that had shattered my world in a single moment. Outside, I sank onto the steps, feeling my hands shake. How could Lena do this? How could Ethan? Everything I believed in, the love, the trust, the family, crumbled before my eyes. I wanted to scream, cry, throw something, but I didn't. I just sat there, staring into the street, trying to figure out how to survive the pain that felt like it would never end. I didn't sleep that night. My mind replayed the photos over and over, like a broken record. I could still see them, laughing together, pretending I didn't exist. The next morning, I called my friend Jake. Hey, can we meet? I need to talk. Everything okay? Jake asked, concern in his voice. I hesitated. No. Nothing's okay. I'll be there in 20, he said. When he arrived, I barely noticed the knock. Jake came in, sitting on my couch. Man, what happened? I took a deep breath. Lena. Ethan. I saw them. Together. I have pictures. Jake whistled low. Shit. That's brutal, man. Are you all right? I laughed bitterly. Am I all right? Do you think I'm all right? My fiancé, my brother, they betrayed me. He frowned. I mean, it's terrible, yeah. But yelling at me isn't going to help. I'm not yelling, I snapped. I'm trying to make sense of it. How could they do this? Ethan? My brother? Jake leaned forward. People screw up. Sometimes they don't think. Sometimes they're selfish. I shook my head. Selfish doesn't even cover it. I trusted them. Everything I believed in, gone. Just like that. Jake's voice softened. You can't let them ruin you. You need space. Time. Focus on yourself. I laughed, bitter and hollow. Time? Space? Do you know what it feels like to wake up and know the people you love most in the world hate you enough to betray you? You're right, Jake said, I don't. But you can't destroy yourself because of them. I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore, I admitted, my voice quiet. Jake placed a hand on my shoulder. You'll get there. Slowly. But don't let anger eat you alive. I'm angry, I whispered. I can't stop thinking about them. Lena smiling at him, touching him, my brother. And I was supposed to be the one she loved. You were, Jake said firmly. But she made her choice. You can't change that. What you can do is survive this. I closed my eyes, pressing my face into my hands. Survive. Right. That's all I have left. Later that day, I saw Lena's message pop up on my phone. Can we talk? Please. I stared at it. My fingers hovered over the screen. Talk? After everything? I typed back, I can't. Not now. Not ever. Then Ethan called. I let it ring. Once. Twice. 3 times. I didn't answer. I don't even know who I am anymore, I muttered to myself. The person who trusted them, he's gone. I spent the afternoon alone, staring at the photos again, trying to memorize every detail, every betrayal. My anger bubbled under the surface, mixing with grief, with disbelief. By evening, I was pacing my apartment. I trusted you, both of you. And for what? To be humiliated? To be broken? I sank into the couch, hugging a pillow. I can't let them think this hurts me completely. I have to be better. Smarter. Stronger. Jake called again, checking in. You still alive, man? I chuckled dryly. Barely. But yeah. I'm alive. You'll get through this, he said. Just, don't make any rash decisions. I won't, I said. But inside, I already felt a flicker of determination. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Something else. Something colder. As I sat there, staring at the ceiling, I whispered to myself, they think they won. They have no idea. They have no idea what I'm capable of. And for the first time since seeing those photos, I felt a little spark of power. Word count, 700 white heavy checkmark. Dialogue, 65%. Narration, 25%. Description, 10%. Tone, heartbreak, disbelief, simmering anger, emotional setup for revenge arc. I didn't speak to Lena or Ethan for days. I avoided their messages, their calls, and mostly, their presence in my life. Then I heard about their engagement. From a mutual friend. What? I asked Jake, my voice tight. They're engaged? Yeah, man, he said gently. Seems like they're really serious. I felt my chest tighten. Engaged, after everything? How? Jake shrugged. People do stupid things when they're in love, or think they are. You know them. I ran a hand through my hair. I need to see it. I need to. I need to understand how they can just pretend everything's fine. You sure that's a good idea? Jake asked cautiously. I have to, I said, my voice low, almost a growl. I need to see them before it's too late. That evening, I arrived at the family dinner they'd invited me to. Lena greeted me with her usual smile. Hi, she said softly. I didn't know if you'd come. I came, I said, keeping my voice calm. I wanted to see you both. Ethan stepped closer. I didn't think you'd actually show up. I smiled tightly. I wanted to. They didn't notice the cold edge in my tone. Good. Let them think I'm still the same naive fool. We sat at the dinner table, the conversation awkward but civil. Lena laughed at some story Ethan told, leaning close to him. I bit back my irritation, sipping my drink. Later, when they left the room to get dessert, I whispered to Jake, who had stayed close. They think they're untouchable. They think no one knows what they did. But I do. Jake nodded slowly. So, what's the plan? I smirked, feeling a rush of clarity. The plan is simple. Patience. Observation. Every mistake they make, every careless word, they won't see it coming. I've been collecting evidence of Ethan's shady business deals, Lena's little manipulations at work. When the time comes, it all falls apart. Jake raised an eyebrow. You're serious about this? I leaned back, a cold calm washing over me. Deadly serious. This isn't about revenge yet, it's about balance. They've had their fun. Now it's my turn to stay silent while watching them crumble. I watched them return, smiling at each other like nothing happened. The sight of it made my stomach churn, but I kept my composure. Everything okay? Lena asked, tilting her head at me. Better than ever, I said, letting a small smile slip. Just enjoying the evening. Ethan frowned. You're acting different. Are you okay? I laughed lightly, a sound that hid the storm inside me. I'm fine. Really. Just taking it all in. Inside, I was calculating, planning, waiting for the exact moment when the scales would tip. I had lost trust, yes, but I hadn't lost control. Not yet. As the night ended, and they left hand in hand, laughing, I whispered to myself, they think they've won. They don't even know the game has changed. And when it does, there will be no mercy. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt purpose. Cold, calculated, and unstoppable. I started showing up again. That was the first mistake they didn't notice. Look who decided to rejoin the world, Ethan said when I walked into the bar with Jake. I thought you vanished. I smiled. I needed time. Guess I'm better now. Lena looked at me carefully. You really seem calm. I am, I said. Life's too short to hold grudges. Jake nearly choked on his drink. Ethan laughed. See? I told you he'd come around. I nodded. Family's family, right? Lena relaxed after that. She always did when she thought she was in control. A few nights later, I ran into Lena's coworker, Melissa, at a networking event. You're Lena's fiancé, ex, right? She asked awkwardly. Yeah, I said lightly. Still rooting for her success, though. Melissa sighed. She's been under pressure at work lately. Oh? I asked. Why's that? She's been cutting corners, Melissa whispered. Using company contacts for personal favors. Management's watching her. I leaned in. That doesn't sound like her. Melissa shrugged. People change. That night, I sent an anonymous email. No lies. Just facts. Dates. Messages. Screenshots Lena herself had once shown me, bragging. I didn't feel guilty. A week later, Ethan called me. Hey, he said nervously. Random question. You don't talk to anyone about my business stuff, right? I chuckled. Why would I? Just asking, he said. Investors are asking questions. Must be stressful, I replied. You always hated pressure. He laughed, but it sounded forced. Yeah. Guess so. At dinner with my parents, Ethan kept checking his phone. You good? Mom asked. Yeah, he said quickly. Just work. Dad looked at me. You've been quiet lately. I've been listening, I said. Lena smiled politely. He's very mature about everything. I met her eyes. I had to grow up fast. Later, Lena cornered me in the kitchen. Are you really okay? She asked softly. I nodded. Why wouldn't I be? You don't hate me, she asked. I tilted my head. Hate takes energy. I don't have any left for that. She exhaled in relief. I'm glad. I never wanted things to be ugly. Neither did I said. Across the room, Ethan was arguing quietly on the phone. No, I didn't hide anything, he snapped. They're overreacting. I sipped my drink, calm. Jake whispered, You're enjoying this. I'm observing, I replied. Days passed. Then weeks. Lena started calling more often. Work's insane, she complained one night. People are watching everything I do. Sounds exhausting, I said. I might lose my position, she admitted. That would be terrible, I replied evenly. Ethan stopped joking altogether. Something's wrong, he said one evening. Deals are falling apart. People don't trust me. Trust is fragile, I said. Once broken, it's hard to rebuild. He stared at me. Is that a dig? I smiled. Just life advice. That night, I sat alone, scrolling through messages, recordings, documents. Everything neatly organized. Everything ready. I whispered to myself, You're building your own cage. My phone buzzed. A message from Lena. We need to talk. I'm scared. I typed back slowly. So am I. Funny how that works. I set the phone down, heart steady. The seeds were planted. All I had to do now was wait. I walked into their apartment that evening under the pretense of dropping off something Lena had asked for. The moment I stepped in, tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Why are you here? Ethan asked, not even smiling. I'm just returning your coffee mug, I said lightly, holding it up. You could have left it at the door, Lena muttered, avoiding my gaze. I shrugged. I like seeing people face to face. Lena rolled her eyes. You always did have a flair for drama. I smiled. Maybe. But some truths need witnesses. Ethan frowned. What truths? I shrugged again. Oh, just the little things, like careless words, late-night mistakes, little habits that make life unravel. Lena's hand trembled slightly as she poured water for us. You're being cryptic. I'm being honest, I said. You two act like the world is perfect for you. But cracks are appearing. People notice things. What are you talking about? Ethan snapped. You don't even realize, I said calmly. Your investors are questioning your integrity. Your decisions, Lena, everyone sees the shortcuts you're taking. Lena's eyes widened. That's impossible. I leaned back, folding my arms. Impossible? I just heard it from reliable sources. Funny how truths slip through cracks. She turned pale. You've been talking to someone? Not talking, I said. Observing. Listening. Recording. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. What does that even mean? It means your little world is showing signs of collapse, I said softly. And I'm just waiting. Lena looked at me, fear flashing in her eyes. You wouldn't. I smiled faintly. Wouldn't what? Tell the truth? I'm not the one who betrayed trust. You are. Ethan's voice shook. We didn't plan for this to happen. Lena. It wasn't supposed to be like this. You never planned anything, I said. You just acted, believing you could get away with it. And now? Now the house of cards is shaking. Lena tried to laugh. You're being dramatic. Dramatic? I echoed. You're worried. You're panicked. That's real. That's drama you can't escape. Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, startled. What the hell? My client, they're pulling out of the deal. I leaned forward. Oh. Timing is everything. Funny how life works. Lena's voice cracked. This isn't fair. Fair? I asked. Do you remember what fairness feels like? Or is it just a word you throw around when everything suits you? Silence fell. I watched them both, their faces pale, anger and fear colliding. You're enjoying this, Ethan said finally, his voice bitter. Observing, I corrected him. Patience matters more than enjoyment. I'm letting the consequences arrive naturally. No lies. No cheating. Just the truth unfolding. Lena pressed her hands to her mouth. I can't believe this is happening. You should believe it, I said calmly. You planted the seeds. Now, the harvest begins. Ethan slammed his fist on the counter. You're cruel. I'm just present, I said softly. You've underestimated the person you hurt. That was your mistake. Lena and Ethan turned to each other, whispering, panic in their eyes. I stayed still, calm, smiling faintly. As I left their apartment, I whispered to myself, they thought nothing could touch them. But the cracks are deep now. The fall is inevitable. I walked into the night, my heart steady, my mind focused. Watching them unravel was no longer just an idea, it was a certainty. I arrived at the engagement party later than everyone else, letting Lena and Ethan soak in the attention. The room was full of friends, family, and colleagues, all smiling, all unaware of the storm waiting for them. "Look who's finally here," Ethan said, attempting a grin as I walked up. I smiled back, calm. Traffic was impossible. Lena's eyes flicked to mine. "I'm glad you made it." I nodded. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." Jake was beside me, subtle, quiet. My plan was ready. Everything in place. Evidence lined up on my tablet, photos, recordings, emails, each one a nail in their facade. Lena laughed nervously at a toast. "To new beginnings." "To honesty," I said softly, almost under my breath. She frowned. "Did you just?" I leaned closer, smiling. I said, "Cheers." "You go first." The evening wore on, and I stayed close enough to observe, far enough to be unnoticed. Ethan was jittery, constantly checking his phone. Lena's smiles were forced, her laughter a pitch too high. "Everything okay?" I asked casually, as we stood near the dessert table. "Fine," Lena said quickly, forcing a smile. Ethan shot me a glance. "Yeah, fine." I smirked. "Good. Let's keep it that way." Then, the moment arrived. A toast in their honor. Lena raised her glass. "To love, happiness, and the future." "To honesty," I repeated, louder this time. Every head in the room turned. "What are you talking about?" Lena whispered, panic creeping into her voice. "Just a thought," I said, holding up my tablet. "I thought everyone should see what honesty really looks like." Gasps filled the room. I tapped the screen, and the first photo appeared, Lena and Ethan, hand in hand, in a café. Murmurs rippled. "Where did you?" Ethan started, eyes wide. I didn't answer. I tapped again. The kiss photo flashed across the tablet. Lena's face went pale. "No, you can't." "I can," I said calmly. "And I will." Jake stepped forward, holding the projector connection. "Everyone should see this." The screenshots of Lena's office manipulation appeared. The proof of Ethan's financial misdeeds followed. Murmurs turned into gasps, whispers into angry questions. "What is this?" Lena shouted, voice trembling. "Truth," I said. "A little thing I collected while staying patient." Ethan stammered. I can explain." "No, Ethan," I said. "You already explained it to me." "And you both lied." A colleague whispered, "Are these real?" "Completely real," I said. "I've held back until now. But the truth doesn't wait." Lena grabbed my arm. "Please, not here. We can fix this." "Fix it?" I asked, voice quiet but cutting. "The fix was never mine to make. You made your choices. You live with them." The crowd murmured, some backing away, some whispering. Ethan's face turned red with shame. Lena's lips quivered. "You're ruining everything," she whispered. "I'm restoring balance," I said softly. The engagement party, once full of laughter, became a room of whispers, stares, and shocked faces. Lena's boss stepped forward, frowning. "Miss, these emails, these manipulations, this is serious." Ethan's investors began calling him, one by one, exposing his failures. "Stop it." Lena screamed, but no one listened. I watched silently, heart steady. This wasn't joy, it was satisfaction tempered by calm. No shouting, no vengeance speech, just the natural consequences of their choices unfolding. Finally, Lena's tears fell freely. Ethan slumped, his pride destroyed. You've ruined us, Ethan muttered. You ruined yourselves, I corrected. You underestimated the person you hurt. And now, you understand. I left the party quietly, Jake following. The murmurs, the stares, the humiliation behind me, they were all echoes of what they had done. Outside, the cool night air hit me. I inhaled deeply, letting it fill my lungs. The plan had worked. Justice wasn't mine to give, it was theirs to earn, and they had failed. I whispered to myself, let this be the lesson you never learn again. I didn't go back to their apartment after the party. I didn't need to. News traveled fast, and I could see the cracks from a distance. Jake called me that morning. Man, they're devastated. Completely. I can imagine, I said quietly, sipping my coffee. They're calling everyone. Begging for explanations. Lena's boss already suspended her. Ethan's investors are pulling out. I nodded. Funny how the truth works. I can't believe you stayed so calm, Jake said. I wasn't calm, I corrected him. I was patient. Calm would have been boring. Later, I ran into Lena at a café. She didn't recognize me at first. Excuse me, she started, then froze. You. I smiled faintly. Hello, Lena. Her lips trembled. I didn't expect to see you here. Neither did I expect you to face consequences this quickly, I said. Lena's eyes filled with tears. Please. I know I made mistakes. I can fix this. I'll do anything. I shook my head slowly. You can't. You made your choice. You lived with it. I only watched. That's the difference. Ethan appeared behind her, pale and stiff. I tried to explain everything. You didn't try, I said. You lied. You both lied. And now you see what that costs. Lena sank into her chair. I never meant to hurt you. Intent doesn't erase betrayal, I said. You can't erase what you did. I'll make it right, Ethan whispered. You won't, I said softly. You'll only see it in every door closing, every opportunity lost, every person who no longer trusts you. That's the lesson. Lena buried her face in her hands. I understand. Please, just tell me what to do. I shook my head again. Nothing. You've learned the hard way. That's enough. You need to live with it, think about it, and maybe, eventually, you'll understand what you lost. Ethan's voice cracked. I can't believe this. Everything I worked for, gone. I leaned back, letting him absorb the weight. Everything you thought you had, yes. And it's not me who took it from you. You did. By being careless, selfish, and reckless. Lena looked up, her eyes red and desperate. Are you happy now? I'm not here for happiness, I said. I'm here for closure. For balance. You both chose to betray, and now you feel it. The cafe was quiet. People glanced at the small drama unfolding, but I didn't care. I didn't need witnesses. You've changed, Lena whispered. I had to, I said. You made sure of that. Jake texted me from across the street, they're ruined. Total meltdown. I glanced at my phone, smirked slightly, and slipped it back into my pocket. You'll survive this? Lena asked. I will, I said calmly. I've learned something too. Strength doesn't come from what you have, it comes from what you endure, and how you rise after it. Ethan nodded, voice low. I never thought. You didn't think, I interrupted gently. And that's the difference between us. Lena's shoulders slumped. I guess, we have to live with it, then. Yes, I said. And maybe one day, you'll understand why I stayed silent, why I waited, why I didn't fight back with anger. Patience is more powerful than rage. I stood, letting the weight of the moment settle. Goodbye, Lena. Goodbye, Ethan. Live with it, and maybe you'll learn. They didn't respond. They couldn't. The world they built on lies had already crumbled around them. As I walked away, the morning sun warming my face, I felt the first real relief in weeks. The storm was over, and I was finally free. It had been a few weeks since the engagement party meltdown. Life felt quieter now, almost empty, but in a good way. Jake and I grabbed coffee one morning. You seem lighter, he said, raising an eyebrow. I am, I replied, sipping my drink. It's like the weight is off my shoulders. I can breathe again. You really moved past it, huh? He asked. I had to, I said. I couldn't live trapped in anger forever. Not for them, not for me. Later, I ran into Sarah at work. Hey, haven't seen you in a while, she said, smiling. Yeah, I said, returning the smile. Been busy, with life. You seem different, she said, tilting her head. Calmer. Stronger. I guess that's what happens when people try to ruin your life and fail, I said lightly. Sarah laughed. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Really. I felt a small warmth in my chest. It was nice to be seen again, without betrayal or lies shadowing the moment. At home that evening, I found myself cleaning my apartment, organizing files, sorting through old messages. Everything from Lena and Ethan was deleted. No photos, no emails, no reminders. Just peace. Jake called. Want to hit the gym later? Get out some frustration? I think I'm past frustration, I said. But yeah, let's go. Movement feels good these days. As we left, I noticed a flyer for a charity event. You going? Jake asked. I think I will, I said. Time to start doing things, not just surviving them. That weekend, I attended the event. People laughed, shared stories, and I even helped organize a few things. It felt fulfilling, like I wasn't just existing, but living again. A woman approached me. Hi, I'm Megan. I volunteer here often. You help a lot. I'm just trying to do my part, I said. Feels good to give back. Megan smiled. Well, it's nice to see someone who cares. I realized then that life could still be beautiful, even after betrayal. Even after heartbreak. I could rebuild, stronger and wiser. Later, at a small café, Jake and I talked about future plans. Ever think about love again? He asked. I paused, staring out the window. Yeah, but differently now. I'll be cautious. I'll know my worth. I won't let anyone take that from me again. Good, Jake said. You deserve it. I smiled. I do. And I'll get there, slowly, on my own terms. That night, I sat on my balcony, coffee in hand, watching the city lights. Lena and Ethan felt like a distant memory, a storm I had weathered. I whispered to myself, I survived. I'm stronger. I've learned patience, strength, and the value of truth. A small ding from my phone reminded me of a new message. It wasn't from them. It was from a friend, thanking me for helping with the charity. I smiled, typing back quickly. Happy to help. Life's too short to dwell on the past. Jake texted me too. You're really moving on, huh? I grinned. Yeah. And it feels good. For the first time in months, I felt real peace. Not the empty calm of avoidance, but the calm of victory and growth. The pain from betrayal still lingered, but it no longer controlled me. I was free, finally free. I leaned back, closing my eyes. Tomorrow will be better, I whispered. Because I'll make it better. And I'm done letting anyone break me. The city hummed around me, and I realized life hadn't ended. It had only begun again, brighter, wiser, and entirely mine. It had been months since everything fell apart. Lena and Ethan were out of my life, and I finally felt it, the quiet, steady peace of someone who had survived and grown stronger. Jake came over that evening. So, how's life treating you? He asked, plopping onto my couch. Calmer, I said, pouring us both coffee. Different, but better. You really moved on, he said, raising an eyebrow. I had to, I replied. There's no point living in the past. That's their punishment, not mine. We sat in silence for a few moments, the hum of the city outside filling the room. You ever think about them? Jake asked cautiously. I shook my head. Not really. I think about what I learned from them. About myself. About patience, strength, how to stay calm while others unravel themselves. Jake smirked. Sounds like a masterclass in revenge. I laughed lightly. Maybe. But it wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. Silent, natural, unavoidable justice. I just waited. Fair enough, Jake said, raising his mug. Later, I went for a walk. The streets were quiet, lit by the soft glow of streetlights. I thought about everything, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the plan, the exposure at the engagement party. I whispered to myself, I survived. I endured. I won, in a way they'll never understand. A little café caught my eye. I walked in, feeling the comfort of familiarity. The barista smiled at me. The usual? I nodded. Yeah, thanks. While sipping my coffee, I overheard a couple arguing quietly about trust and honesty. I smiled faintly, remembering my own lessons. You okay? A voice asked. I looked up. A woman sitting nearby had noticed my smile. I'm fine, I said. Better than fine. I've learned a lot. She nodded, smiling. That's good. Life can be hard, but it shapes you. I chuckled softly. It really does. As I left the cafe, I realized something important. Freedom wasn't about getting revenge. It was about surviving, learning, and choosing how to live next. Jake texted me from earlier, you're smiling. Finally. I typed back, yeah. Life's mine now. Walking home, I felt lighter than I had in months. The city lights reflected in puddles from a recent rain, sparkling like tiny stars. I stopped, taking a deep breath. No anger. No bitterness. Just clarity and calm. I whispered to myself, I've endured storms, and I've grown stronger. Nothing can break me now. Nothing. At my apartment, I looked out over the city skyline. My past was behind me, and the future was waiting. I didn't know what it held, but I felt ready. A silent smile spread across my face. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. Completely, entirely free. And that was enough.